Hi friends! Welcome back to Lady Dynamite Creates. I'm Tiffany and I'm so excited to be back with you. I know it's been a while since I last posted a video, but I was away and I hope you really like what I have in store for you today. Are you ready? Let's get started. I loved the results of the embroidery panels on Silvani, so I couldn't resist giving it another try. This time I dug into my stash of pastel fabrics and hair, and right away I knew Honey Swamp with her one-of-a-kind sculpt was the perfect match for this project. I had this one in my stash that had already been stripped down, so I decided to shrink her head too. You can see it makes a pretty big difference. I'm using a bunch of leftover hair from past projects, so I painted out different sections to get a game plan. Of course, once I started rerouting, I had to switch things up on the fly. Turns out I didn't have quite enough for some of the colors. Luckily, it wasn't too big of a curveball. I'm testing out a new rerouting trick I spotted from Dolls of Amber, knotting the hair right onto the tool before plunging it in. I used to just plunge it in and then glue it, but this way feels much sturdier. Honestly, I don't know why it took me so long to try it. I'm absolutely obsessed with this hair. All the colors blended together looks so gorgeous. I think this might be my favorite reroute yet. It reminds me of Lady Lovely Locks. Alright, onto the clothes. I'll be honest, I lost too much time chasing an idea that turned into a total disaster. I thought a split open design with ruffles behind her legs would look amazing, but at doll scale, yeah, it was hot garbage. So back to the drawing board I went. This time I ditched the ruffles and created a new skirt with a front opening and mirrored cascading flounces, which I carefully ironed into place. A bit of starch helps them stay put. With the flounces all nice and secure, it's time to play around with where I want the embroidery to go. Once I've got a solid plan, I mark out the areas that need to be trimmed and carefully clip them away. Next up, I carefully snip away the extra tulle and heat seal the edges. I gotta make sure nothing unravels. Once everything was pinned to the overlay, I brought it over to the sewing machine and carefully stitched it down, dodging all of those 3D embroidery details and beads along the way. For the tricky spots, I had to break out the hand stitching since the machine just couldn't get close enough. I'm using transparent thread here, so all of those stitches stay hidden. To finish it off, I add a ribbon waistband and closure. For the top, I went with a one-shoulder design to really show off the doll's gorgeous molded swirls. I sewed 2 layers of my pattern pieces together along the neckline and armhole. After flipping the pieces right sides out, I opened the layers up and lined up the side seams of both the inner and outer layers and stitched them together right sides facing, of course. Clipped it onto the doll for a test fit. Pretty good. I just need to add a closure, so I marked it out for a nice snug fit. For the closure itself, I've used a ribbon with ready-made loops to create an easy lace-up corset back. With the base of the top finished, it was now time for embroidery. I tested out a few pieces, pinning them in different spots until I liked the layout. Here's the final design, but cue the dreaded hand sewing. Most of the bodice had to be stitched by hand because there was no way to get it under the machine properly. I did most of it off camera to spare you from watching every tiny stitch, but here's a little snippet of my suffering. Transparent thread might be magical because it disappears, but it is a pain to wrangle. Accessories are hands down my favorite part of this project. First up, shoes. I 3D modeled and printed these delicate little pair with thin straps and tiny butterflies, and honestly, they turned out to be exactly what she needed. They're probably my most intricate design yet. I printed them in transparent resin to really highlight those butterflies, and after a little sanding to clean up the support marks, they were ready to shine. The design was actually the Dynamite tier reward for my amazing Patreon crew. And speaking of Patreon, I've got to give a huge shout out to my wonderful supporters. Thank you so much for sticking with me, even through my summer break. You keep the creativity flowing, and I'm endlessly grateful for you. Angel Book Walter, Awkward Bird, Deborah Sweeney, Zyra, Stephanie L, Dancing Johari, Dallicious, Bex Mini Studio, Elendaria, Kitsy, Oak Magpie, Tara N. I'm coloring the shoes with alcohol-based markers so they stay nice and transparent, picking soft pastel pinks, blues, and purples, really leaning into that magical fairy tale aesthetic. Next, I sprinkle on some sparkly mica powder for that extra magic and seal everything in with gloss varnish. I make sure they're sealed really well so these little wings of color stay perfect and don't stain the doll. Now, let's talk wings. First, some very professional camera work, aka my camera decides to droop down on the stand while I'm cutting out the wings I printed on transparency film. 5 years on YouTube and I'm still flying by the seat of my pants here. I place the cutout wing on a silicone surface, shape the wire to match the top edge, then mix hard and soft resin and spread it evenly over the wing. Quick cure and repeat for the other side. Once both sides are done, I go back in and add a few ripples to the wings to give them some texture. I just like the way it catches the light. I even did a more in-depth tutorial for my Patreon supporters if you want to check it out. And here's the finished wing. I'm obsessed with the glass-like texture this method gives, plus they stay flexible, which is a total win. It's face-up time. Here's the lineup of supplies I used. A full list is in the description if you want the exact brands. I prepped the doll with 3 layers of Mr. Super Clear UV cut flat and started with a simple sketch for the eye placement. From there, I layered watercolor pencils and chalk pastels, sealing with Mr. Super Clear whenever I needed to lock in my work. Or I couldn't build up more color. If you see my spray cans chilling in the top right, that's me starting a new layer. So where have I been all this time? Right after my mermaid video, my family and I loaded up the car and drove across country to spend the entire summer visiting family in Alabama. Our parents are getting older and my daughter is an only child, so we really wanted her to have that connection. Plus, our house there has seen better days. The tenants moved out, so it was the perfect excuse to go do some major home repairs and visit family. Total win-win, right? The summer turned into a mix of hard work, epic adventures, and lots of family bonding. I got to see my brother every single day. He'd swing by after work, and we'd have dinner together or just hang out. My daughter had loads of time with cousins, grandparents, and her Alabama best friend, Merritt. Of course, it wasn't all rainbows and butterflies. My mom had some health scares. She even had a heart attack while I was there. But the silver lining is I got to be there for her appointments and talk directly with her doctors. She is doing much better now, and the new meds seem to be working, thank goodness. And oh, the repairs. Let's just say if sanding, painting, and refinishing cabinets was an Olympic sport, I'd be on the podium. We tore out the upper island cabinets to open up the kitchen, sanded and refinished all the cabinets after the previous tenants' kids turned them into makeshift scratch art, installed a 60-foot French drain to fix the drainage in the backyard, and then painted. And painted. And painted some more. The floors are still a hot mess from spilled nail polish, but that's a problem for future Tiffany. Now, the drive itself, I honestly thought I'd hate it. I hate driving. I hate being in cars. But you know what? It was actually amazing. We took the Interstate 40 route, which hits a huge chunk of old Route 66, and drove through California, Arizona, New Mexico, Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Mississippi, Tennessee, and Alabama. We saw so many incredible sights along the way. Boy Crater and Lava Field, unbelievably hot, and did I mention I hate heat? We drove a chunk of Route 66 through the Mojave Desert. It got a little nerve-wracking when we suddenly lost cell reception and didn't see a single car anywhere. Definitely made the adventure feel a little wild. Visited the petrified forest and painted desert, saw the Zuni Bandera volcanic field, saw the incredible open plains and Great Basin grasslands, left our mark at Cadillac Ranch, and countless giant wind turbines that make you feel teeny tiny. My daughter even saw her first payphone and actually knew what it was. It was such a unique adventure that we're already planning to make it a yearly tradition. Next time, we'll definitely take longer at each stop. 3 days, 2,200 miles, and barely time to breathe was ambitious. Once we were settled in Alabama, we did sneak in a few extra adventures. We took a spontaneous day trip to Chattanooga, Tennessee with some friends. Good food, fun sights, and way too much laughter packed into just one day. We spent a long weekend in Savannah, Georgia, which was super special for us because we lived there while my husband went to college at SCAD. It was so much fun showing my daughter the city where her parents first fell in love. Being able to do things we couldn't afford to as poor college kids was a bonus too. And then for her birthday, we took her down to Florida to visit my husband's father and stepmom, which meant all the Gulf Coast beach time we could squeeze in. Those beaches are so gorgeous. All in all, it was a summer packed with hard work, road trip shenanigans, family bonding, and so many unforgettable memories. My daughter told me it was the best summer of her life, and honestly, I can't argue with that. It was exhausting, messy, and chaotic, but it was exactly the kind of summer you never forget. Thanks for spending this time and listening to me rant. It means so much to share not just the pretty moments, but the real ones too. As this face-up wraps up, I add some highlights to her waterline and catch lights, then finish it off with a little sprinkle of mica powder before sealing it all in. Honestly, I think she turned out so pretty even if I felt a little bit rusty at the start. And get this, I now have to wear glasses to work on my dolls. My eyesight has officially gone downhill and close-up work now needs full-on magnification. Getting older sucks. Time for some hairstyling. I'm going for a look that's classic but still really sweet. Just long cascading curls down her back. To get that, I wrap small section of hair with these flexible curling rods and twist the ends together to keep them in place. A little water helps keep the hair neater, but do I mist it like a normal person? Of course not. I go in with the world's most awkward hand dunking routine. I seriously need to remember to pick up a water bottle. Once every curl is tucked in, I give her a boil wash and let her sit overnight to dry before pulling the rods out. It takes a little fluffing and styling, but then she's ready to shine with those bouncy curls. Finally, my newest fairy is complete. It's been a while since I dove into creating a fairy character, and I absolutely love how she turned out. A perfect blend of lightness, color, and magic. I knew the name Zyra was just right for her. It feels airy and delicate, but with that tiny spark, like the last streak of color in a sunset sky. If you're looking for a new magical friend to adopt, Zyra, along with a few other friends, are waiting in my Etsy shop, ready to find their perfect home, so be sure to check them out if you're interested. I can't thank you enough for hanging out with me and following along as I brush off the dust and get back into doll making. Honestly, it's way more fun than all the housework I tackled over the summer, and I'm thrilled to be creating again. Every comment, like, share, and kind word from you lights up my day, and I'm so grateful to share my art with all of you. You're truly a big part of keeping the creative magic alive around here. Until next time, keep sprinkling a little magic everywhere, and remember, always be creating.